It's important to know why things work the way that they do, but also like if someone is training you, it's important to know why they do things the way that they
Oh
do.
yeah.
Because just because somebody's showing you something and how they do it, that
Yep.
doesn't mean that it's the best way to do it. Lean cuisine boxes and all that stuff is just piled. I mean, this far.
Hola, what is up, everybody, and welcome to the Reliable Trades podcast. For those of you that have been following or listening for a long time, basically we've rebranded the show to open the door, wide open. So all trades, different people from all industries, and it'll make for some interesting episodes going forward. I've been working on this behind the scenes. I am really excited for some of the episodes coming up. I hope you guys really get something out of them. I think they've been really good, and I've been, in talks with a lot of people, a lot of companies and things of that nature. So looking forward to what comes this year. Now, with that being said, if you guys can do me a favor, obviously, if you're on YouTube, what helps the most, if you just like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment, join us in the live chat every Tuesday evening. And if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, any of those platforms, you can also leave a review over there and help the show get out to more people. If you guys want to stay up to date with anything, all the shows that I do, the channels that I run, any discounts, tool links, recommendations, anything we got going on, our Discord is on my website as well. So just go to reliablehvacr.net and stay up to date with everything that I do. Like I said, Discord is up. I'm going to be having, we have sections in there, and there's a good amount of people. We're almost at 100. So go kind of help that cause, help each other out. Tech support, tool talk, shop talk, hobbies, there's a whole bunch of different categories. And I just implemented one that I've been thinking about for a really long time, which is a virtual showroom. So what I want to do is I've been sharing everybody's or the guys, Jake and Kurt's AHR videos, and I'm going to put mine in there probably too. And that'll be an opportunity as well for anybody that has a YouTube channel or Instagram, TikTok, whatever you guys have. Share your content in that virtual showroom of any tool reviews that you guys have done. There's been plenty that have been helpful to me just browsing through YouTube from, guys that I know or channels that I come across. But if you guys want to, have a place to share it and promote your channel to, this group that's growing, go ahead and do that. Tool reviews, virtual showroom. Check out our Discord. It's in the link below. Speaking of which, we have a HVAC Nights podcast as well every Thursday evening, and that one is a live stream where we can take questions from the chat, discuss certain topics, talk about tools, work week. It gets crazy and it's fun, and it was a blast doing both shows at the AHR Expo. I was very honored to be there in Orlando, Florida on the podcast pavilion stage, kind of like a you made it moment. And I appreciate everybody who just showed up for that, because my God, we had quite the crowd, and that made me feel, just really good about it. I want to thank some of the sponsors that help with everything, because this stuff, there's a lot of money that I put into the podcast, both shows, and that is supported by these sponsors like the CRM that we use at our business, Jobber. Now, we went digital, and we were doing paper invoices not too long ago. Tried a few different ones, didn't like them. Jobber approached me, and it's just been night and day since then. So everything is online now for us. Price list, invoicing, quoting, and it can help you now get Google reviews, get those automations, with your customers. And a lot of AI stuff is coming very soon this year. So I'm very excited about that. Just everything that you could do to help organize your business. And like I've said before, you can either, get ahead of it or catch up. And I can help you with that. If you go to the link down below, it's getjobber.com/reliable HVACR, and you can get a free trial and discount. So you can get it with no risk involved. see if it works for your business. I think it's a really good way to just, level up. Also, Vito Pro Pack tool bags, the best bags that you can buy literally, because I used to rip up backpacks, tool bags, I mean, you name it, from other companies. And then I stumbled upon Vito Pro Pack, tried a few of their like MB lineups, and those have been really good. I still have I still like to use those often, but they have backpacks, wheelers, and don't forget about that spring promo. It is coming up. It is basically a buy one get one free, and it's a really good deal every year. So make sure you check that out. And thanks to all the supporters, all the guests that I've had on this podcast journey, and going into the next chapter, the next stage of this podcast. I appreciate you guys and enjoy the episode.
What in the world is going on here? And if you don't know how to, that's where you see the difference between someone who like really has been doing it for a long time, knows what they're doing, has been trained how to do something, whatever, versus someone who just, hey, this is how this guy showed me how to do it, so this is how I do it. That's a big difference there between those two individuals.
In my field, I've seen it to where people can change out a part if it's like for like, anything like
Yeah.
that. But
What
if
if
I
you can't
go
get
in,
that part?
yeah, if I go in there, I know how to rewire it, or I know how to, I can do it from scratch. Versus like somebody that, it has to be the same exact wiring, the same exact part. Everything has to be like for like. They can change out a part, but they don't know how it works. That is like a very good point, a very important one. Is learn how everything works. That's my whole thing. Because when I started, everything looked so foreign to me. Like I was like, what is this? I got like open up panels and there's wires everywhere. Like, but once you figure out, you know, it's all whatever it is that you do, plumbing, electrician, HVAC.
Yeah,
There's a certain cycle to everything. Like there's certain
yeah.
like wiring goes to certain things. This works a certain way. Switches, that was a big thing for me when I started. Like, what are these things that I'm seeing? It's just wires and switches.
And I'd even say that there's probably a lot of people like you, for instance. I might say, hey, would you want to come over and plumb my house, like do some plumbing work at my house? And you'd probably be like, I don't do plumbing, but you do. It's all, everything is the same to me. Like whenever I get into electric, and I'm not saying it's like the same, but the process is the
Yep.
same. You just have to learn materials and, maybe how something might function a different way. But ultimately, like an electrical system is, you're getting electricity from point A to point B. A plumbing system is you're getting water, or the opposite of water, from point A to point B. Uh, Even with HVAC, you're getting cold air or heat, point A to point B. And you just got to learn what are the things in between point A and point B,
Oh, that's
and what are
always how.
how does it go through those,
Yeah.
and which one of those is not working? Where's the stop? Where is it not working anymore? It's stopping at this, you know, point in the middle here. So there's something here in the middle that's not working. I've got to change that out. It's just a different material, different
Yeah.
parts, but the process is kind of the same on a lot of different things. It's all very similar in
That's
the
true,
way
because
that you
that's
go about
always
doing
how
work.
I've described it or looked at it on my work. As far as like refrigerant and refrigeration cycle and stuff like that, I'm like, it's all the same cycle, right? It goes from point A and it goes through all these things and it comes back. It's just what's in between. Like I said, it's either a safety or a metering device or a compressor, whatever it is. Like it's just like all these things in between, and it's like if it's not going through something, you got a clog restriction. It could go, like you said, for plumbing. It could go for anything. Electricity too. You might lose power somewhere, and you're like, okay, somewhere along the
Yeah,
line,
you got a
I lost
neutral
it.
somewhere that came loose. Yeah, and it's no longer working. And see, I've done every, like, I'm a one man. I can start from, I could come in here right now and build a room and do the electricity in it, do the plumbing in it,
Yeah.
drywall, finish the drywall, frame it. So that's been one thing that's been beneficial to me, is that I know what affects the next guy, because that's one thing that really perturbs me on job sites, is how a framer will just come in and throw up his framing, and it looks like if anybody else walked in off the street and looked at it, say, man, they did a really good job framing right here. This looks, I mean, there's walls, and then you go hang drywall on it. It's a total nightmare because, stuff's not right or whatever else. And so everything, I'm the next guy that's going to do it. So that has made me learn how to do every step of the process to the best of my ability, because if I don't frame it right, it's a pain for me to drywall it. And it's a pain for me to put trim on. It's a pain for me to hang cabinets. It's a pain. Everything becomes custom after that. So that's made me to where I wanted to learn why certain things work and certain things don't. And that was the other half of the learning why. It's important to know why things work the way that they do, but also, like, if someone is training you, it's important to know why they do things the way that they
Oh
do,
yeah.
because just because somebody's showing you something and how they do it, that
Yep.
doesn't mean that it's the best way to do it. Because, like, for framing, for example, somebody could come in and say, I frame this way because it's the fastest. This is the fastest way. I just knock it out of the park. And then another guy can come in and say, well, I frame this way because it's the most cost effective. I'm saving money because of this or that, the way that they do it. Because there's a bunch of different ways to do about anything. And
Yep.
then another guy might come in and say, well, I frame this way because I also hang the drywall, and this makes it a lot easier for me. And there might be something where from all three of those people that you're learning from, you can now become a person who saves some money, has a better product, helps yourself down the road. Use a little bit from all three of them, but you need to know why they're. Don't just let someone show you this is how I do it. Understand why it is that this is the way that they do it, because it might be something silly, that they might not be doing it the right way. And
That's
if you don't ever ask why, then you're never going to question it. You're just going to keep doing it the same way they're doing it. You're going to pass that on down the road to somebody else.
Yep. That's a big point that I've made in the past. Even when I tell young guys that come in and they're learning, and obviously they have somebody that trains them. I was like, you can ask all the questions you want, but also, like why? Like why did you do it this way? Why did you do it that way? Because
Yeah,
if you don't know
because
that why, you don't know
yeah,
on your if when you're on your own, you don't know you're not going to know what to do.
yeah. And
Or
there's usually multiple ways to achieve
oh
most
yeah.
things. Now, sometimes this is the only fix, for this, but a lot of times there's multiple ways to go about doing stuff. So you need to
Or
learn
you
why somebody does.
or you run into like cuz I've had plenty of places that I go to, and it's like I don't know what to do here, and it's like okay, well, you think about the why or how, and you have to figure out a new way to do something, or kind of like you said, combine different techniques to get you through a certain job, because you're going to run into those jobs where it might not be an easy fix. You got to figure out something.
Yeah, it's like the old cutting off the ham story, where a lady cut off half of her ham and put it in her pan and fixed it that way, like, and just threw part of it in the trash. And finally, somebody asked her, why do you do that with your ham? Why do you throw away half of it? She said, well, that's what my mom did, and that's what my grandma did. So that's how I cook my ham. So then they went back and asked the grandma, well, why did you start cutting half the ham off? And she said, well, it's because I could only fit half the ham in my pan. So I had to
Mm.
cut part of it off. The ham was too big for my pan. So, but then you got two people throwing away a bunch of ham
Yep.
just because that's how somebody did it. And they didn't ask, why do you cut off half the ham? Why are you doing that? So if you don't ask why questions, you're liable to just be doing something the way somebody else is doing it, whether it's right, wrong, best way, worst way, doesn't make any difference. I think why is a, a question a lot of people don't ask.
This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free.
And it's always been the thing that I'm constantly asking, even myself. Like, I might not go ask this guy why. Like, I used to have, whenever I started in facilities maintenance at that place, like I said, I wasn't trained in anything. I'd been working in factories, so I would have to hire some HVAC guys, plumbers, whatever to come. But I'm sure I'd be somebody y'all would hate. I'd be like a helicopter, helicopter guy. But it was all people I knew. They didn't mind, and I wouldn't sit there and actually ask them what they were doing. I'd just be sitting there talking to them like, how's your day been going? But I'd be sitting there watching the whole entire thing of whatever they're doing,
Yeah,
and then
paying
I'd go
attention.
back. I'd go back later, and after they left, and open it back up and be like looking at figuring out what it was they were checking, those kinds of things. Just because it bugs me to not know why
Oh
something
yeah.
is not working or whatever it is. Because it's like that could happen at my house. I want to know how to do it, whether I always hired this guy to come do this here or not. If it happened at my house, I'd want to know how to do it. So that's why
Yeah, like
I'm always.
we've worked with other trades, and my dad does like the hot food side. And even like if I'm just there, I'm gonna ask the same thing, like why'd you do that, or what'd you do, or I just want to know, because even if I don't do it, I just want to know what was done and why, why they did something. So that's just the way my mind has always worked as well. Like I need to know
Yeah, I think, like I
everything.
said, I think it's a puzzle mindset. It's like that's the way I phrase it.
That's what I
It's
was gonna go
I think
back to. Yeah.
I think certain people have it. Like it's just and again, I'm not knocking anybody that doesn't think the way that I think or all those kind of things. I'm just saying that's how I am, and that's what's made me get good at multiple things. I tell
I
people all the
feel the
time,
same way.
I'm
Yeah.
not the best person probably at anything. There's somebody out there that's better than me at everything that I do. I guarantee there is. There's a lot of people out there, but I'm really good at a lot of things, and it's only because of the effort I put in over 20 something years to learn why. Why do I do, or why did you do this? And I spend the time. Again, I might not even ask the person, but I'm going to figure out why they did whatever they did.
Oh
Or
yeah.
I will ask people sometime if I know them enough, I will ask them. But even if I don't know them and I don't feel like they're going to answer me, I'll be like, I'm going to sit here and figure it out. I'll watch it. Now we got YouTube these days. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
look up stuff. It's
um,
amazing.
No, but like when I started too, I felt like that was my leg up, was, my the mindset, the way that I approach things, and I kind of got that, a little bit of that from my dad, and the work ethic and all that. I feel like that's what gave me a leg up against other people, which is kind of why like I felt like I was better than some of the older technicians, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna know why, this happened, or why we changed out this part. I felt so comfortable like telling the customer, this is what we did and this is why we did it. That was always my thing.
Yeah.
Like why did we change that part? But I have the same, like that whole mindset you're talking about. I kind of feel the same way. Like I would I would get a call, and I would, cuz I know some people don't, like one of the advice that a lot of HVAC guys give is like, don't think about the next call, like you're going to go down a rabbit hole of the wrong idea or this or that. I prefer to think about it honestly. Like you said, you stayed up late. I would
Oh
do the
yeah.
same thing. I have to think about it. I love trying to figure things out. So I actually get joy out of that. So I like to, think about the next call, or like you said, if they say so and so couldn't fix it, can you come check it out? I'm already like, okay, what could it be? Like I'm that's how I get like amped
Yeah,
up for
because
that call.
even on my way there, I'll
I do
work
the
out
same.
stuff to where this is what I need to test first. I might not would have thought it if I didn't think about it before I got there. I might have just started checking something else. But then I thought I'll work through the whole about 5 scenarios before I even get there, and I'll be like, well, this is probably the one I need to start with. And if I check this first, that's going to knock out these 3 scenarios. If this is this, that means it's not these three. I don't even have to mess with looking at those three.
Yeah.
And you can't remember all those things like instantaneously. You have to think it out sometimes, especially if you do like a ton of different things and you run into so much weird stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a mindset that it's bad and it's good, because it's
Yeah.
good that it's made me who I am, but it's bad because sometimes I can't go to sleep at night. Like I'll sit up and just think about, and
I
I'll
have the
wake
same
up.
problem.
I used to have projects going on at the children's home, and I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, like because I just couldn't stop thinking about whatever it was. Oh, you can't forget this, and make sure you put this in there and this and
Yep.
that. And I'd go ahead and get up and go to work and start doing it, because I was like, I can't go back to sleep. It's like I got to go in there and do it. It's going to drive me crazy.
I am
But
the same exact way, dude. Because I've seen people give that, like I said, piece of advice, and I'm like, No, I mean, it's okay to think about things. It's okay to, like, like you said, we wake up in the middle of the night, think of something, and you gotta do it then and there, because I'm very forgetful too. If I don't do it then, I'm not gonna remember it later. So, and then I just like to be prepared. Like you said, you think
Yeah.
of things that you might not think of on the spot. So I use the drive over there or the night before to kind of like, okay, what could it be, or what should I be doing, or just getting anything prepared. I like to be ready for it.
Well, and even though the customer wouldn't know if I checked things that was a
No,
worthless check, they would never know that. But in my mind, I'm like, I can't go over there and look like a chump and don't look like I know what I'm doing. So it's like I got to make sure I at least have an
yep.
idea of what I'm getting into whenever I get there. So I don't look like I'm just somebody who showed up like, oh, I don't really know. I'm just going to try some stuff and see if it works out.
I've heard a little bit of this in your live streams, but like, what are some of the jobs that you go out to? I'm being a maintenance guy. I'm sure you get out to random calls and random things
Uh,
here and there. Like, what are some of either the simplest jobs or the craziest jobs that like the customer has called you out for?
one of the things that I find hard within my work is sometimes I run into some really silly stuff like that.
Really?
You like, I can't believe that you've called me here for this, and it's almost a hard situation to be in because it makes me go into mode of how do I make this not seem like you're stupid, like
See, I
whenever
have
I'm
that
telling you what
that
this is.
conversation with my dad sometimes when especially early on, like I'm like, how do I tell the customer this?
Yeah. I had one what they said the freezer door would not shut. And I, of course, in my mindset on my way over there, oh, I probably need to check the seal, see if it's a seal. It's probably something going on there, something, or maybe they've the handle's out of whack or the hinge is off or it's crooked or something. I start thinking of things on my way over there. And then I get there, I walk into the kitchen and I'm talking about lean cuisine boxes and all that stuff. It's just piled. I mean, this far out of the freezer, like you couldn't shut it'd be like you sticking a, chair in your
Yeah.
entry door and trying to shut your entry door. It was like that. And I wanted to be like, how do you not know that this is not how your freezer door is not shutting? So I rearranged all the stuff in her freezer and put it back in there and got the door shut and all that. And then I wasn't, I'm always conflicted with, do I say, well, your freezer door didn't, because if I don't tell her, it's like, she's going to do it again. It's like,
Yeah.
why would
Oh yeah.
you almost have to tell somebody, but then at the same time, I'm like, or do I just need to say, I had to move some stuff around in your freezer, and then I kind of adjusted your door a little bit, just because I'm always torn between. That's kind of like that white lie thing. I don't like to lie to people, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings either, and be like, I can't believe that you didn't know
Yep.
that this is why your freezer door wasn't shutting. So I run into like just, I mean, I can't tell you how much stuff where you just go in
Was that
and
was that an older
push it.
lady or anything?
No, it was a younger person.
Okay, so just we don't know what was going on there. Um,
Yeah,
because I've been called out to calls like that too, and I'm like, because like when I started, I'm like, I would tell my dad like, how do I tell the customer? It was just like, and I had one not that long ago that was just a power switch. They're like, oh,
yeah,
come over in a hurry. They were freaking out, and their prep cooler wasn't working because this is where like they keep that. It's like a pizza place, so like all the toppings and everything. That's where they make the pizza, and it just wasn't coming on. They were like stubborn that it didn't work, and I went out there and I looked at it, right? Because the first thing I do is check for power, and I'm like, I like flipped the switch on and it turned on, and I'm like, okay. I do
yeah,
stay there for a bit to make sure that nothing else happens,
yeah,
right? But I was like, I had to tell and I'm honest too. Like I'm not one of those that tries to make up like, oh, I changed the part or I did this, whatever.
yeah,
I told them like, look, just so I don't get called out again, like the switch, this is a switch, this powers, and I just kind of give like a
a little education.
a
Yeah,
little explainer, but not to make them feel dumb or anything. But I'm like, look,
yeah,
this is what powers it, because it does have two switches, so maybe they didn't know. I don't know. And I was like, I think I even wrote a note on their power switch or something on there just so they knew. I also want to thank Diversitech. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely, you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out diversitech.com and it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC. I've gotten a lot of compliments on these line set penetration covers. They're basically, when you get an install done, you have the line set coming out the house or whatever a wall you came out of. You normally have to put like foam spray or cover it up somehow. Eric's has these covers that just look professional, and I like the form factor. I've seen others and they're a little bit too bulky. This one, it just gives you what you need. They have two different models. If you need a slimmer one, they have that too. And what I really like is they finally have now one for existing line sets. Now it's two pieces, and you kind of just put them together over the line set and then mount it and drill it in. And it's a good selling point to make an existing install look better. I've gotten so many compliments, like I said. So make sure you go over to ericsmfg.com and check them out. I like, this is your switch. Yeah.
GFCI receptacles are a huge thing. Like, I can't tell you how many times I go somewhere and they're like, this receptacle, like, I don't have power here. And it's like, boom. So and I get that, it's very hard for me in my mind to understand what some people don't know, because it's because I've done stuff for so long that it's hard for me to think there's people out there that don't know that, but it's obvious there's people who have never even don't even know what a GFCI receptacle is. They don't know anything different.
I just started treating all my customers like they don't know anything. So then I go in and explain it. Now, if they correct me and they're like, I know how it works or this and that, and I'm like, oh, okay. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know that if you press this button right here, it will reset that and you'll have power everywhere, and it works out that way.
You won't have to call me out again.
Yeah, so all kinds of like little stuff like that. That's always, like I said, that's actually hard. That's a hard part of the job, to how do I deal with this customer in this situation? And then which I'm lucky that, again, I'm my own business owner. I'm the owner. Like, if I was a technician that worked for a company, I'd probably have to charge somebody for something like that. And I get to make that decision. That's one nice thing about working for yourself, is I'd just be like, man, I was already out this way. It's not a big deal. I just stopped in here. Let me show you. This is what it is. That kind of stuff.
Some other people don't understand, because like, I run a business. Like you said, we make that decision, right? Like, I don't want to be told that I should do something for free, but it's my decision when that comes up. Because like you said, I could be in the area and it's easy for me to be like, you know what? We did this or whatever. I'll come and check on you guys, another day. If I fix something and I just want to make sure that it works, instead of waiting there, I'm like, I'll come back. I'm in the area, very often. Like, I'll just stop by. So I'll do little free trips like that. Or if I feel like I can look at something, it's a free estimate, I'll look at it really quick and be like, okay, that needs this or that, whatever. Like, I'll give it to them, and it has to be like a customer
good
that
customer.
like a good customer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't just be anybody.
Yeah. 100% on that. The other hard part of the customer side for me is, some of them just won't take no for an answer, like that I won't do it, because I'm somebody who does everything. So like, somebody could call you and say, hey, I need some plumbing done at my house. And you'd be like, well, what are you calling me for? I'm a HVAC guy. That's what I do. But everybody that's my customer knows that I can do
everything
about anything. So, but there's certain things that I can't do, either efficiently wise, physically wise, whatever it is, or scheduling wise, more than anything. That's the hardest part of my job, is the scheduling side of it. Because again, I work for myself, so I can't be in two places at once. So if I'm working,
I think that's a big company thing too, because they'll, if they call a big company, that company more than likely will do whatever they want them to do, or, they'll get something out of it. But like us that we work for ourselves, I've learned to be picky, as the years go on. Like, I'm not going to do everything.
Yeah. That's the whole purpose of me really going out on my own, was because I loved working at the place that I work for. But when you work for somebody, something happens, you've got to do it, whether it's a plumbing pipe is pumping out boo under the house or whatever it is. That's, you work for them. It's what you got to do. And it got to the point where it was becoming too much for me to do, whether it was by myself or certain things. So then I was like, well, if I go out and work for myself, I get the freedom of saying,
No.
this isn't a job for me, but I still have a
Yeah.
hard time doing it. And there's certain customers who I do so much work for. So even though I say you get the ability to say no, there's certain customers where you're like, well, you're still torn between, I want to keep them
Yeah.
happy as a customer, even though I don't really want to do this type of work. But there's a lot of things where I get asked to do that I just don't want to do it because it's not that I don't want to do it because of the type of work that it is. It's more so because it's really not efficient for a one person operation to do whatever it is. It would tie up my schedule for so
Yeah.
long.
Like
And I
it's
just don't have that.
inconvenient
Yeah.
and things like that. Because
Or
I had a
it's out away from the town where I normally work in. So then, because like what I normally do, my day to day looks like this. I usually start at like 7 o'clock. I work till about 2 o'clock on a job site, like whether it's like right now I'm working on those apartment buildings.
yeah.
I do like a lot of times I do suites like storefront type suites. Like we'll do build outs of those and stuff like that. And then after work at 2 o'clock, if I've got service calls, that's when I go do them that afternoon. I schedule them, or I can schedule them in the morning. I'll go first and then go work on my job. So I got the freedom to do that. I don't like to go in people's houses and like that they're living in, especially now. I will go do a residential home if it's a vacant home and they want work done.
Yeah.
But I don't like to tear up somebody's kitchen and then even though I might tell them it's going to take me 3 weeks to do this, but that's because on my schedule I've already got jobs within that 3 weeks scheduled, and I know that even doing those jobs it's going to take me 3 weeks. So I planned on not being there on Thursday because I already had a job scheduled. Well, on Thursday they're going to call you and say, "Well, where are you at?
Yeah. Yeah.
My kitchen's a mess. I don't have anything to live in, or I don't have anything to cook in, or do whatever." So even though you're upfront with them about that, they still don't see it as. So I just don't do work in people's houses where they actually live. It's not worth it.
Like those good customers, we will try to do, a little bit more than we need to. Like my dad has that background being an electrician, but he doesn't do it anymore. But if they need lights changed, fixtures or the ballast or anything like that, like he'll do it for certain customers. But
Yeah,
anything else, he's like, call the electrician or call the plumber, whatever it is. But every now and then we do it. Um, like you said, you're kind of torn, like what you can and can't do. If it's a
yeah.
good
Like I said,
customer,
you get the freedom in your own business of
yeah,
freedom of job choice, freedom of customer choice, freedom of what you're going to do with your time during the day. In a way, I say that like there's still times where the choice kind of gets made for you. You can't just turn down everything for certain people and those kinds of things. So there's still
yeah,
some
because you'll be
times
out of a
where
job.
yeah, yeah, if you've got a customer who is like 40% of your work,
Yeah,
or something like that, you still got to do whatever it is they ask. You're still working kind of for them along with some other people.
sure.
I do like the freedom of working for myself though. Like and I mentioned this in a live before, just because I'm saying that I work for myself and I love it. That's because I love it right now, like where
Hmm.
I'm at in my life. Whenever I was younger, I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't have had the skill set to do it. I wouldn't have had the, you know, different ways of doing estimating. Like I said, I worked project management for a couple of years, learned how to do all that kind of stuff, learn how to do like CAD drawings and things like that. I do a lot of drawings for people. I wouldn't have had any of that knowledge until right now. I wouldn't have been
Yep.
capable of doing what I'm doing till right now. And there's a benefit of being an employee in that it's a constant paycheck. Like this week, I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah,
make this much money, so you can base stuff like that. Like right now, I might not like the way my jobs finish out. I might not get paid one whole month, but then the next month I get like slammed with checks because I just so happen to finish stuff all at the same time or whatever. So you got to learn how to budget your money a little bit differently and all that kind of stuff.
which
So
which
there's a
took us
benefit to both.
a while because, like you said, you might not get paid. There was weeks I didn't get paid. Um, because technically I run it with my dad, but I'm also like an employee
Yeah,
because it's his really. But as a small business running it, you might not get paid for a month, like you said, and it'll hit
yeah,
you the next month or whatever it is. So I've gone weeks without getting paid before. Now it's better, but yeah, that employee, I think you brought it up earlier, like the benefit of being an employee is you get that money. Like we were trying to pay our employees before we paid
Yeah,
ourselves
yeah.
at one point, because they get the
It's almost a guaranteed amount of money at
guaranteed.
a set time, you know. So if you're not a person who is very good at managing your money, which I probably wasn't when I was younger, so like I said, it was a at that point in time that worked out well for me, and I wouldn't have been good at what I'm doing now. And now what I'm doing now, I really prefer, but I'm in a different financial position. I'm in a different, you know, I'm older. I've been doing it for a lot longer.
Yep.
So that's why I tell people, just because you see somebody being successful at being a business owner doesn't mean that you could be successful. And just because you see somebody fail
Yep.
doesn't mean, well, if they can't do it, I can't do it either. Because every situation is going to be different. Like I said, I had a lot of advantages whenever I decided to go out on my own. I was debt free. My wife's work has health insurance for us. You know, that's a huge thing. You know, whenever you get into buying that for yourself, that's a whole lot more money you got to make to be able to do that.
Yep.
All sorts of stuff like that's just. And I had contacts from where I'd been doing
That's
contractor
a big
work
help. Yeah.
for the business or for the children's home that I work for. I hired subs and stuff like that. So I already know people in every field. They're giving my name out. I'm giving their names out. You know,
Yep.
I had a lot of different people like that. So, but if you just at 19 years old, whenever I started, if I just said, hey, I'm going to be a general contractor, I had none of that, you know, so I would have failed. I guarantee I would have failed. It wouldn't have worked out.
And
So
that's what I
every
mean.
situation is different.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I see people. I'm like, why? Like, I feel like you start too quickly, like the ones that fail. And networking is a big thing. So like, when and I understand my dad started the business, so like he had his networking already in place when he started. So he already had work lined up when he started, and then we figured out. It took us a little while, but we figured out we got to subcontract some stuff. We got to network with not only other HVAC companies but other trades. So like we have plumbers that we would talk to, or electricians, like everybody. And the only way that's going to work, like you network obviously to get help, but then you have to help them out too. Like you said,
Yeah.
you could
Yeah.
recommend somebody for something and they can recommend you back, for work. So it goes both ways. So, we've done all that. So a good point, like you said, not everybody can run a business, and not all small businesses will fail. Like you can, I mean, it depends on what you put into it, and
Yeah.
things like that, because, I've had plenty, I've talked to people, and it's like, it it can go either way, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about what you put into it once you have it, and then also what you had before you started it. Because
Yeah,
you can either set yourself up for just because even
the
if you
prep.
could probably still succeed even if you start out with nothing. If you just hammer away at it, but it's going to be very hard. It's going to be
I've
super
seen
super.
I've
It's
seen
there's
people that
probably somebody up there that probably has done it, but I'm sure it's a
it's
very
like
small percentage of yeah
yeah, I
yeah
was gonna say a small percentage, because I've seen it, and I'm like, man, like only that person could have done that or whatever they did,
yeah
because that takes so much hard work and so much involvement. And another thing is like, do you have a family? Do you have kids?
yeah
That's why I always say take advantage when you're
yeah
younger to do all that. Your body and your commitments are a little bit lower, or like better, that you're better off at that point to do things like that, like work late, put all the hours in, and do all that. And I also learned, because I went to school, like the teachers that I had, because I think I made this point earlier, like I thought everybody's end goal was to run a business, but it's not. Like some people, you go work for a place and you might find the best job you can find,
yeah.
or you get benefits, you get the best pay, and like why would you give that up to go
Yeah, there's some
start
places
over?
where you can be an employee and it's fantastic. Like you wouldn't like there's I know some people that work for some places and they absolutely just love it, and there's no reason for them to go
Yeah.
start their own business. They've got all the same freedoms and stuff, like kind of what I'm talking about now. There's some employers out
If
there
they
that are,
work their
like
way
good
up,
employers. Yeah.
and get that seniority, because I've had a few on here too that they're like, I've been there long enough to be the guy, and they get off at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon and they're done,
Yeah.
and they get paid the most.
Yeah.
I also want to thank our new sponsors, CallRail. So I've been more into marketing and just online presence with our business. Even though we only do commercial, word of mouth is really good for any business. But once you get to a place where you want to be, a big name online or just anywhere, be recognizable, like I said, online presence, have a nice website, be able to be searchable in Google and all these different search engines, and just have a big presence. You need to know where to spend your money. And all I'm going to say is that CallRail can help you track that if that's something that you're interested in. CallRail can tell you, hey, these are not working so much. These are working really good. Stop spending your money here. Put more money and effort into this. And just be smarter about what you spend. So make sure you go by callrail.com. They do have a no risk free trial and you can check it out for yourself. I also want to thank another new sponsor, Residio. Basically, they help with a sustainable home and they make it a safer, cleaner, and smarter home. They have so many things that work together. They were showing me the new thermostats that they have going on, how it's implemented together, and all these different little, smart devices that connect and talk to each other. So if you want to learn more, head over to residio.com and check it out for yourself.
It
Um,
comes with time. That's a
that's the
good
hardest
point.
part.
Is to,
That's the hardest
yeah,
part to tell the young guys.
yeah. It's you can't have everything that the older guys have today. Like you got to work for that. That's what happens. I mean, it takes time. I say that even about my tools and stuff. Like people probably watch my channel and be like, man, that guy's got tools galore or whatever. It's like, well, I bought them over the course of a lot of years. It's not like I just went out and bought them all in one day. Now I might buy a bunch of them in one day, but I didn't buy them all in one day. It takes time to build up your toolkits. And I always, because I get questions all the time on that channel as far as on my YouTube. What
Yeah.
should I buy for this or that and this and that? And ultimately my answer, I might give a recommendation, but the real answer is it's like find out what you need by the jobs that you're doing, because just because I tell you something is good for me doesn't mean it's going to be good for you. You
It's like
gotta,
whatever you
if you
need
need
and
it to
whatever
get your
you can.
job done, that's how you build your toolkit over years. Is I needed this tool for this job, I went and bought it, now I've got it. If that job comes up again, I've got it.
It's
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 part of
whatever
it.
you need and whatever you can afford at the time, right? Because
Yeah,
like what you've accumulated, somebody starting out can't afford to go buy all that stuff. Like
yeah,
that's
no.
another thing, right?
But a
Because
lot of people think they should be able to, the people who go and start their business, like what you were talking about, who go out and buy 7 trucks and every tool that's imaginable and fill up the whole truck.
yeah,
That's a lot of debt you're taking on right there at the very beginning of it. And if you
yeah,
ain't busy,
we had a pickup truck and we bought the equipment as needed. Like if a job called for it, then we would get it. Like we didn't buy it all at once either. Like that's
yeah,
people have to understand that. And I've even gone down, the rabbit hole of buying Harbor Freight tools because I had
yeah,
my dad did give me Klein tools when I started. So, I had Klein tools, I had nice tools, everything. Then they got stolen. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? We weren't doing great. I was like, I'll go to Harbor Freight, buy some tools, and get back to work. Like, that's what I needed at the time.
that's a good point. Is whatever you can, the best you can afford at the time when you need them. That's how it goes. And
And I
again,
still have those damn Harbor Freight tools. I barely got rid of them because I was like,
yeah,
they never broke, but I wanted my Klein tools back. So they're
because it's
still
like
there.
I've used enough tools now, again, at my point in my life, that I'm buying tools based on very small, minute differences just
Preference.
because, but I'm a tool like nut. Like
Yeah.
I've always been that way. So I buy more tools than probably a normal person does, I'm sure.
So you've
But
always been,
that's my hobby though, kind of.
yeah.
That's my thing. I don't spend my money on anything else. So like everybody else is like, oh, you spend way too much money on tools. Yeah, but show me your bank account. I'll show you some stuff that you spend money on that's way more than probably what I spend on tools. That's all I spend my money on,
And the
like
tools
extra
pay for
money.
themselves.
Yeah, and it's something that I actually get to use. And a big thing for me whenever I'm picking out tools now is the enjoyment factor, because if we work 8 hours a day on a job, who says it's got to be a pain in the butt? Who says it's got to be a bad experience? If I've got some tools that I don't like using because it's just not comfortable in my hand, it's not enjoyable, it doesn't really work 100% of the time like I want it to. If I can find something that's going to fit that, and it costs me a little bit more money, or even because I've got a tool that will do it, but I can get a different tool that's going to make it a little bit more enjoyable. Why work a work day where you just ain't happy at the end of it, where you're not enjoying
Yeah,
what you're doing?
I've had that conversation because they're like, why do you buy this tool or like this expensive one, or why are you like, I have a lot of battery powered tools for like my HVAC stuff, right? Like bending copper or
Yeah.
expanding copper. Like I got all the battery powered stuff now. And people will complain like, why don't you do it the old school way or this and that? I'm like, I would like to enjoy my job, and like these are things
Yeah.
that I did not enjoy doing by hand. So I got a battery powered, whatever it was, and build up your I'm building up, the Milwaukee tools, all that kind of stuff. Like I whatever makes it easier makes it more enjoyable too.
Yeah, it is to me too. And also, there's either the enjoyment side of it, or something makes your job better quality.
Oh yeah.
Then again, that makes me feel better. It's still an enjoyment thing because I feel better about myself if I leave a job and, man, that looks good. It's clean looking. It's all this other stuff. If I can find a tool that allows that to
Does
happen
that.
too, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to try it. So
And it
again, that's where I'm
so
at in
have
my tool buying purchases now, is because I've bought
you
so
got it
many over
all.
the course of my lifetime. I've got something that will do about anything, but it might not do it how I want it to. So I'm willing to, and
Yeah,
I just keep trying stuff.
it's
And
preference.
I take really good care of my tools. So sometimes I give them away to people, like if I'm on a job site and somebody wants
Oh yeah.
whatever, and it's just a hand tool or whatever. I've got plenty of them, or that's why I keep good care of mine. One is I'm particular about my stuff, but then also I sell stuff and then buy a new one. That's just like I got the new 3/8 stubby up there. I got a deal on it for 155, and I could sell my other one for pretty close to what I paid
Yep.
for that. So I upgrade my tools all the time. So it's not like I'm going out and spending $155 on tools all the time. I might end up having like 30, $40 in that at the most, probably, when it's all said and done, by upgrading. But I've got the newest tool on top of it, and it's better, or it's whatever. So I don't spend as much money on tools as what people think, because I got kind of like a cycle going of always trading them in and out, just so I can try stuff to find that more enjoyable, better quality,
Yeah, I was gonna say
allow
like
me to do better quality work job.
if not, that garage or that space you're in will
Yeah,
be full.
I don't have a big enough garage for all of them, to keep all of them. I want to keep
Uh,
all of them sometimes, but I don't have a big enough garage to keep all of
yeah,
them.
because I do the same thing. Like I'll give some of my stuff to the other technicians and whatever, and I'm like, I'll go get a new one or whatever, and then hand them off, or stuff like that. And so you've always been into the tool thing,
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
that's always been a
Yeah,
thing.
it's been like the YouTube thing has been crazy to me. Like I'd have never thought I was going to making videos. It's bananas to me that I'm still even making them. I got the Klein flip socket. Like I got it I found it online. I get up every morning. Every morning I'm looking Home Depot deal of the day, Lowe's deal. Like
I
I'm
know
constantly looking at
me and
tools.
Kurt and Jake always end up at Home Depot or Lowe's, and we're like, what are we gonna buy now? But
Yeah,
it's a
but
real
I
addiction.
had been wanting Malcos of different sizes forever. I mean, been wanting, like, I use the 1/4 inch 5/16 Malcos forever. Yeah,
I got this
yeah,
cup because of your video.
yeah. I use those all the time. They finally came out with the 3/8 and 5/16. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But man, I wish they had like a whole nut driver set, like where it was the reversible heads and all that. I had been wanting them forever. Well, then Klein came out with that flip socket. I think I
Mm,
just found it one day, and I looked around. I couldn't find any reviews on it. Couldn't find any videos. And I'm like, man,
oh,
I had been wanting something like this forever. I mean, I've been like constantly saying I wish Malco would come out with more. So I thought I'm just going to make a YouTube video and put it out there, and like just to let people know it's out there, because I've been looking for it forever. Somebody else probably has been too, and then it's just went on from that. It's been crazy. And again, it's
so
not like I'm huge YouTube channel or something, but it's just the fact that I'm even still doing it like
hey,
2-3 years later or something like that. That's
yeah,
crazy to me.
I was gonna say, hey, like it's a very addictive tool channel to watch, because like I follow a few like you. There's one Pine Tool, or I
Project
forget.
Pine Hills, yeah, Project Pine
Pine
Hills, yeah,
Hills, Last Best Tool. Like there's a few of
yeah,
you guys that I follow, like tool channels, and it's for one of two things. I think I even mentioned it in one of your lives. Like, what are we buying today? Like, what are you showing me today that I
yeah,
can go get, or maybe just like living it through you. Like you got
yeah,
the
yeah,
tool. I might not want to buy it, but I get to see it. So, like you said, there. I guess a few years ago there wasn't that many tool review on
No,
like
I don't think
smaller
like
tools.
whenever I didn't even really watch YouTube until maybe about 6 months before I shot that video. And that's the only really reason why I shot that video, because I had just started getting into watching YouTube, like actually
My
not
my
looking
kid,
up like a not looking up like a dryer fix or something like that, but just I'm
yeah,
talking about looking for something to actually watch.
my
And I
kid got
started
me into
watching.
YouTube actually, and then I started a rabbit hole of that.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have even thought about making that video had I not really probably just started watching YouTube. And I thought, well, I'm just going to throw a video out there. I've got a phone here. I'll just make a video of it real fast and just throw it out there, because there wasn't anything out there for it, and I had been looking for something like that for so long. But yeah, there's like I started out watching VCG Construction and Tool
Oh yeah,
Review Zone, and Tool Boss was the thing that really got me into buying Milwaukee tools, like the hacks and stuff at Home Depot. He cost me a lot of money. Tool Boss cost me a lot of money, but I'm glad, because I love all my Milwaukee stuff. It's really good. But yeah, I always try to portray on that channel that I'm never pushed. Like I could care less if somebody buys any of the tools that I show you. Like I'm just buying stuff,
yeah.
and I don't get tools unless it's something I'm going to use, like I would use in my job. I'm going to buy it anyways. I bought it. I'm showing you what it does.
Did that
The
take
flip
off?
socket, yeah, the Klein flip socket. Well, I mean, I didn't get a lot of views at the beginning. No, it's like everything. I remember back when I used to get excited, like if I got like 5 views a day, I'm like, man, I
Oh
got
yeah.
5 views today, type thing. Uh, and
So
like
then you just
it's an atrocious video if you go back and watch it now. Not that I'm much better now, but I like whenever I started that, I had literally never filmed a video in my entire life. I don't think that I can remember. Maybe a camcorder of my kids or something like that
yeah.
at some point in time, but I had never edited a video, never done any kind of that kind of stuff at all. And so it was really weird for me to do it. And like I said, I was mostly just doing it as I'm gonna throw this out there just to let people know it's out there. Wasn't intended to be a YouTube channel or anything like that.
And then
And
like
then
what?
it's the comment section more than anything. I love it like that, because there's no one I work around that is like me in the
Oh,
tool nut category. So there's nobody I can't tell you how many times I send people deals of the day that are phenomenal deals. Like I'll text message them people I work around or whatever.
oh,
And then like 2 days later, they'll be like, I might go get that. I'm like, no, you're
you
not,
have to.
because it was just that day. That's why I sent it to you. But they don't even think nothing about it. Now I've kind of converted the guy that I work with quite a bit, because he started, now that he's working with me, he uses some of my tools. He started getting into buying a little bit different ones and stuff like that. But it's the comment section of a bunch of people who are like me in the tool thought process. Like I'm not around that all day. So it's kind of like having a whole group of people that think that same type of way. It's
That's how
really
I
nice to
feel.
have.
That's how I feel about the whole HVAC thing. Like I'm glad that I got into the YouTube space and then the Instagram to find like-minded people like for the work that I do. And like you said, like for the
Yeah.
tool, your tool channel and stuff like that. Like I don't see it around here too often. So I get excited when I talk to somebody online that's like, into the same stuff or like as passionate, whatever it is. Like that's the cool thing about being online.
Yeah, watching it's crazy to me, because HVAC and stuff is probably the thing I do the least, and it's more so because one is your equipment is pretty expensive and your tools and all that stuff, and I don't do it enough that it's worth me to invest in any of that kind of stuff, because it's also, like I said at the beginning, in my state it's
License.
very
Yeah.
hard. Like I can't go do certain things anyways, and that's probably the worst part of being a person like me, if you want to call it a handyman, if you want to call it a maintenance person, a general contractor. I do so many different things that it gets expensive buying tools, because I don't get to just go buy I've got drain cleaners over here, I've got drywall finishing tools, I've got framing tools, every kind of saw for cutting wood, I've got saws for cutting tile, for flooring. I have to buy basically the whole every tool you would need to build a house from start to finish. I've got it, and you have to get into it. So that would be another, I guess, I'll throw out there as a suggestion to people. If you want to run a business, and probably it would help you with your scheduling, it would probably help you with your dealing with customers, probably be a lot less headaches, even though I personally probably wouldn't like doing it this way. Get yourself a niche, pick a couple things, don't do it all. But I'm saying that as that's a recommendation to make your life probably easier. I wouldn't do that my own self personally, because that's the biggest benefit to me of my job is I do something different all the time. Like, and
Yeah, you
it's
really
almost
do.
like it's almost like a honing my skills type thing too. Like I'm never away from something far enough that I forget how to do it. Even though if you was to ask me drywall, would I want to drywall all the time? Absolutely not. But I don't mind it. I don't mind doing it from time to time. But if I had to do that every day, I would go crazy. Nothing
That
against the people who do it every day. If you love it, you love it. But I don't love it enough to do it every day. But I don't mind doing it
No, and
sometimes. I like,
everybody's different because like my brother is a big maintenance person, right? So as far as
yeah,
like the equipment that we work on, so he'll clean out do maintenance on ACs and refrigeration equipment. Right now we just got like some more work at the hospital as far as like doing the dishwashers and kind of maintenance on all that stuff. And ice machines too. I hate those, but um he's okay with that. He's okay with the routine. He's okay with doing the same thing
yeah,
over. Like that's his thing, and I'm super happy because there's
yeah,
different types of people, and
hmm,
in any trade you can usually find either you want to do the same thing over and over, or kind of niche down
yeah,
like you said, or you want to do something different every day, and there's something for that in
yeah.
every
It's
trade.
that brain of like what you said of how we're competitive. We like puzzles. So to do something that's just if I did the same thing every
I get
day,
bored.
it would, yeah, I would go crazy. It would drive me crazy. I like to have a challenge like thrown in the mix. But then there are some people who, hey, just give me what I know and that's what I'm going to do. And I just want to go and do it. And I want to go home and I want to be cool. And you need those people. You need a little bit
Oh
of
yeah.
both, within the world out
That's what
there.
I
That's,
wanted to kind of point out. Like my brother, like it's good because we work together. He does most of the maintenance, right? A lot of the routine stuff, and I love taking on all the crazy hack, trying to figure out things and fixing what someone else couldn't. Like that's what I like to do. So I'd rather spend all my time doing that and traveling. I do a lot of like driving to different places, and I like to see something new every day. But for the people that like to know what they're going to do for the day, like there's stuff for them too.
it's best if in a business you've got people to do both of them. That's
Yeah,
probably the best way to
because
go.
it makes your business more efficient, and then like it keeps the technician engaged too. Like you could lose like your guys, like if they don't want to do the work, like you could
Yeah,
suffer from that too as a business. So I know I've had that conversation before. I can't remember how it was worded, but like, you know, find what you like to do, and as a business owner, if you have employees, whatever, like, you know, either train them up to what you want them to do, or play to their strengths. Like if they like to do maintenance, if they like to do the crazy calls, play to that. Well, your wife comes out in some of the lives, right? So
yeah.
has she been involved in Morgan's maintenance, like the work? Like is she
Uh,
handy?
well, she helps me around my house. Like anything we do at home, we do together. Like I've always said that if I could hire somebody to work for me and
It'll be
work
her.
alongside of me, yeah, like she's one of those that she's worked around me. And of course, like I said, we've been married since we were 19 years old. We've been together for 25 years. So, like if there is I could be putting up a ceiling fan in my house or something, and as I'm getting done with this tool, and like you normally go get whatever the next thing, like she's already got it. It's like she's like your best helper, where she's got the fan blade sitting there holding it up to hand it to you. Like she already knows what I'm going to do next because she's done enough stuff with me. But she doesn't. She works her own job, but she would help me if on anything that I
So she's
needed
never
help
been like
from.
into like what you do, right? She has a
No,
completely different job, not a
yeah,
trades job or
yeah,
anything.
yeah. She worked for a law firm.
Oh, okay. Because I had seen her on your live, like you guys were building something together. I'm like,
Yeah.
does
Well,
she
that
do
was
this?
actually, yeah, like that was on a Saturday. So, like, if I go work on something on a Saturday or something, like, she'll just come with me so we spend time together type of thing. So yeah, but she's helped me on it. Like, we've remodeled our whole house with the couple houses that we've lived in. Uh, just anything we do around the house, she's
Yeah.
right in there with me. She'll outwork about anybody I know. Like, as little as she is,
Oh
man,
yeah.
she will outwork anybody I know.
That's awesome. So like that's another thing that I've been, discussing with people is like you learn these skilled trades especially you that you do so much more. Like you can work on your own house, you can work on your own
Yeah,
car, you learn all these
I haven't
skills.
I haven't had a contractor of any sort in my house since I was now. Whenever I was younger, I did because I didn't know anything. Like
Yeah.
I said, probably 20 years at least. Like there's nobody that's ever stepped foot in my house. Like I just
And
won't.
that's something I never thought about, because like when I got into the trade with my dad, like, I asked him to help me with everything. Like I asked him to help me with my car or whatever it was. And then once I started working and learning, even though it was just HVAC, like I applied that to working on my car, changing out like a radiator
Yeah,
or the AC system, working on it, whatever it was. I applied it to that, and then I applied it to the house. Like I got to fix,
yeah.
leaky faucets or plumbing or electrical outlets. Like I just apply it to everything,
Like
because
I
you can do
said,
your own.
it all goes back to it's all very similar, like point A to point
Yeah,
B. And once you learn how to do one thing, like if you get good at one thing, it's a matter of learning materials and your options that are out there to make something, work and parts and all that kind of stuff like that.
that's
But
the hardest. Yeah,
it's still just something. It's still, it starts here, whether it's power or water or whatever, it has to have that to start. And then it's supposed to go through all these things to get to the finish. I just got to figure out what are my options for the things that I can use, not
and
use,
that's
whatever.
the hardest part, because like whenever I tackle on a new job or project that's not HVAC, it's just, where do I get the part, or what is this
Yeah.
called, or what is
What's
that,
it
like that?
called? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can't tell
That's
you
the
how
hardest
many.
part.
Every time I go into like HVAC supply houses, electrical is probably about the only one I go in where I know the lingo for most stuff
Yeah.
because I do more of it. But if I go into a HVAC or plumbing, I'm like, I need one of these things. It's like a 3/4 on this side, and then and I have to sit there and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, I have no idea what to call it. But now I have started using the internet, on my phone and stuff a lot to where I know what I'm looking for, and I'll look it up and find it just so I can find the name, so I don't look
If
like a
you
goober when I go in there.
Yeah, if you try hard enough, you'll find it, because that's what I do now too. Is like I just go into Google and I'll start describing it, or I'll type in a bunch of different things, and then I finally see what, like, a picture of what it is. I'm like, okay, that's it. That's what it's called.
And it's even now half the time you can even just take a picture of stuff and it'll
Oh,
tell
that's
you now.
true.
We're living in a world that's crazy. Like the way that power tools and all that stuff has just come about, even in the last like 10 years, is it's night and day compared to like whenever I started doing stuff. It's gotten so
Hey,
we don't I don't think we realize how good we've got it in like the tool world and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
I always say it's a good time to be in the trades with all the tools and technology that we have now. It's like the perfect time.
Until it's taken away from us, and then we're all dumb now because of our tools and technology. I went to Washington D.C. not too long ago, and I saw all those old buildings and stuff like that,
Oh yeah.
and I thought, man, of course, I'm sure they've all been upkept like crazy for however many years or whatever. But I see all that stuff, and I think even the building that I worked at the children's home is a 100-year-old building, and how
Oh
it
wow.
was built. I'm like, man, how would I build that like
Today.
with what they had.
Oh,
Like
with
I
what
don't
they
even,
had.
yeah, I don't think I could do it. Like I don't think I could. It would. I so in a way, it's really nice that we got all these tools and all this stuff. But it's like if I didn't have my 3 plane lasers and if I didn't have certain things like that, how would I go about doing stuff? And we forget like there is ways to do it. There's
Yeah.
math equations and all that kind of stuff, but we've kind of allowed tools to. Same way with the calculator, we don't do
Which
math anymore. We just use the calculator.
which is funny, because your teachers would always tell you, "Hey, you're not gonna have a calculator when you get out of here." And I'm like, now we do. But yeah, that's the whole argument of like, tools make it too easy now, and there's not really any skill or anything like that. Like there is, but like,
Yeah, there's still
just
skill. You still have to
you
have skill. It's just a lot. It takes more so. It takes the grunt work and the skill is still there. Like you have to be able to be good with your hands. Like it's you're still
and
using
know
your
what
two
you're
hands to
doing.
do whatever it is. Yeah, and your brain. It's just a matter of a lot of the physicality's been taken out of it, and then a lot of the like the just equation type thinking and stuff like how to
Oh
square
yeah.
something with a 3 4 5. I don't never do that anymore. I never use the 3 4 5 method. I just get out my 3 plane laser and shoot a laser. I know how to do it that way, but if there's not people being taught how to do it that way, because now today again it's the how do how do you do this? Well, I get out my 3-plane laser and I put it on the ground. I do this, but then you don't understand how would you do it without that 3-plane laser.
So
That's the difference.
so my thing is like, because there's old school mentality, and then there's like everybody now with the technology. And like old school is like, you got to learn it,
The
you
way
know,
I
with,
learned it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm on the fence, because nowadays, especially in my field, like you have to rely on the digital stuff, just because like
Mhm.
there's so many refrigerants, right? Like if you buy an analog gauge, it only has room for so much. You need to have a PT, like a pressure chart, to figure out like the different refrigerants and all that. So like I'm one that's like, embrace the technology, like go
Yeah.
out and get what you can get, and if you can get something digital, even better. But just know how it works. Just know
Yeah.
and
And
why it's the
and, and
conversion.
under, it goes back to understanding the how something works, not just
Yep.
how you use. Don't just understand how you use that tool. Like I can plug up this tool and it's going to tell me this. But what if you don't have that tool? What if that tool breaks on you? What if is there other ways to figure out that you need to understand the process of whatever that thing is too? The tool is there to help you figure out what's wrong in the process or whatever else. But if you don't understand the process, that tool could even lead. Who's to say that tool's working? And who's
Oh
to
yeah.
say it's working correctly? And
Hey, I've
all
had
those
plenty
kinds
of
of things.
times where I've caught something, and it's like, well,
where
this
you
thing that
where you just
wasn't
know, yeah,
working.
something's not, what that tool is telling you. You're like, this doesn't make
Nah.
sense sometimes. So like if you didn't know that though, if you didn't know how the process worked and how stuff typically goes and all that, and you just got a reading on a tool for something and you just took it for
For what
the
it's worth.
gospel that it's got to be right. Versus if you see some numbers, you're like, nah, this ain't, something ain't jiving with this tool. Something's wrong with
Yeah.
this tool. Like it ain't telling me the right thing.
So what did your wife think about the whole YouTube channel? Because you've been doing it for, like you said, like 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah, she's been pretty good about like which most of the time it doesn't, like I said, I work from 7 to 2 some days. I could work longer on a job. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on. Sometimes I get done at 12. If whatever. I always have stuff that I want to do, so I normally come home and do all the video shooting and all that stuff while she's still at work or
Oh, okay.
whatever else. So it doesn't necessarily get into our time. Now sometimes it does, but she's been really cool about it. Like she's actually helped me with thumbnail decisions and all that kind of, like, hey,
Hey, I love
I'll,
your
I'll show it
thumbnails.
to her and say, does this look stupid or what? Because again,
Okay.
I am not a technology type person. As far as I'm pretty good. I mean, I'm not like a totally, hey, I know nothing about it. Like I said, I can do certain things, but there's a lot of stuff where I don't know how to do stuff exactly like the big people do, and the people who are really good at audio and editing videos. Like I see some people's videos and I'm like, man, that is fantastic. Like I don't even know how somebody would even do something like that. It's amazing to me. Um, so she's helped me with some of that kind of stuff. But yeah, she's been pretty
She
supportive of
didn't
all
uh
of it.
she didn't think it was weird or anything.
No, uh, I think she's probably just as surprised about it though as I am. Like I said, I figured
Yeah.
I made that video, and then I had a few people say stuff, and then so I was like, well, I'll just make a couple more, and then
Oh,
it's
okay.
just snowballed into what it is.
Yeah,
Like I
because
said, I did not set out to be a YouTuber, not at all. But and the only reason why,
that's
like I said, I still do it, it's just the comment
the
section,
comments.
and
That's funny,
yeah,
because when I did mine, I had the whole like thing. Like I told my girlfriend, like, I think I'm gonna post on YouTube and this and that, and she like, now she tells me now that she thought it was a little odd, right? But she didn't tell me that at the time. She was cool with it, and I didn't know either what it would turn into. And it's been great. And like you said, it's the community, it's the comments, the
yeah,
mess. I get messages and emails sometimes too, and it's
yeah,
crazy.
I do too. Like
And
I got several people that email me quite a bit, and then I get people that will send me messages about just. I mean, some of the stuff is just crazy to me because it's not even doesn't even have to do anything about tools. They're just like, man, I just want to thank you for. I've been in the hospital for 2 weeks, and just watching all your tool. And he's a tool person too, and he of course in the hospital room at the TV channel that's up on there, you ain't gonna be able to watch any tool stuff or anything like that. And he's just like, man, this just gave me something to, it's really taken my mind off whatever else. And you're just like, who would ever thought like that,
it's
from
crazy.
something? It's crazy. But yeah,
Yeah. So
it's been pretty nice. I always think it's funny though, how much again, because I got so many tools. But what people don't realize is I've been buying tools for 20 something years.
Yeah, before.
But people think again I've just got tons of money or whatever, or maybe even you make a bunch of money off YouTube, and you probably, I guess, would know this. I saw Krause's Jake had his video the other day about how much he made on YouTube. I'm like, man, I'm glad you showed that, because
I know.
I think people think you make a killing off making YouTube videos, and it's like I could easily spend, because, and again, it might take me longer than a normal person because I'm not a video editing person and all that kind of stuff. But I've told people, and maybe some lies, or I think I even did a video about it, that yeah, I made a video called "I'm a YouTube scammer" because everybody my tools are too clean. I obviously don't do whatever. I get that all the time, but I could go out and run service calls instead of the same amount of time that I
Oh
make
yeah.
videos, and I would make probably 10, 15, 20 times more money. But again, that's not what I'm not doing it for that. I
It
like comment sections.
it's a thing because I like if you're gonna because there's people I think you had mentioned in one of your lives like the generation thing man, I think I had written it down, generation mindset, right? Like older guys, they work with their hands, they want to
Yeah,
do labor.
the dirtier you are, the harder you work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's funny because nowadays everybody wants to be like a YouTuber or influencer or whatever it is.
yeah.
My kids, I don't know how old are your kids?
My youngest one is 20, and my oldest one is, let's see, he was born in 99. So what's that, 20, 20, 25. Yeah, I
5,
think
yeah.
25. Yeah.
Uh, have they been in interested
24.
or
No,
interested or involved?
no, my oldest son is a accountant. Like he's a CPA. He went to school, and then my youngest son's getting ready to finish college. He's going into some healthcare administration. So none of them, even though like as kids and stuff, I'd have which my oldest son, he actually worked with me sometime during the summer times at the children's home that I worked at. I'd take him into work with me, and he'd work with me and just do stuff. I'd have him taking apart vacuum cleaners and cleaning them out, and doing that kind of stuff like that. But neither one of them has ever really been like into the same kind of stuff that I'm into as far as like this kind of work.
Yeah.
Because if I had thought that either one of them had wanted to, I would have started my own business a long time ago, thinking I'm
Uh,
working towards kind of like what your dad,
yeah.
you said he started his business and you're working there now. But once I'm done, as it's sitting right now, mortgage maintenance, will be done because I'm not going to hire anybody else unless something happens or whatever. But neither one of them, they would work when anytime we were doing stuff around the house. As a family, we work on stuff or do whatever. But neither they're both a lot smarter than me as far as book smarts wise. Like they're both really
Yeah,
smart kids.
everybody finds their thing cuz what I was bringing up is like I have kids that are 11 and 9. And it's funny cuz a 9-year-old, she's more interested than the my boy, right?
Yeah,
So, but they came to me recently. I mean, I try to keep this whole YouTube social media stuff like separate.
yeah,
I don't tell them, "Hey, I have a YouTube channel. Hey, I have this." Um the little one has caught on a little bit cuz I think she found my podcast recently. But they come to me, "Dad, can I start a YouTube channel and this and that?" And I'm like, I was like, "No." But kids nowadays, or even people that I've run into that are like 18 to 20, like they want to be the YouTuber. They want to do that kind of thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like that's why I like the whole trade awareness, trying to talk to people about the trades cuz that's always been an issue even when I was a kid. Like they didn't tell us in school like, "Hey, go be an electrician
No.
or plumber or
Like I
anything like
said,
that."
had you told me in high school that I'd be doing what I'm doing today, I'd say you're crazy. Like it didn't even cross my mind that it was interesting to me to even. And now I can't imagine doing anything
Something else.
else. Like no, like it's just a matter of I like fixing stuff. I like again, it's the competition of me versus whatever that is that's broke, and then it's also the satisfaction of I love taking. That's why I got into the carpentry and interior finish work and stuff like that. I like going into places that are just garbage. Like I mean, looks horrible, and I get to gut that thing, and then at the end, I'll be like, man, you remember what this was, and it looks fantastic now, and it's it's just an awesome feeling to like, no, you did that. It was this, and now it's this, and you played a role in that. It's hard to beat that feeling, and it's just that you did it with your hands. You were able to do that, and that's what I try to impress upon people, younger people especially. I'm like, I know that you've not been told that this is. Matter of fact, I remember whenever one of my kids was in school. I don't remember if it was my youngest or my oldest, but the teacher told them if you didn't do well in school, you'd end up digging ditches. That's kind of the saying of it. And I thought, man, that is a horrible thing to say. And plus, I also wanted to say, I don't know if your teacher knows this or not, but those guys out there digging them ditches probably make about 10
Make
times, 20
yeah.
times more than what she makes as a teacher. Uh, because that's like you get into
Yeah, I
equipment
was gonna say
operating
like
and all.
they make yeah, those people
Yeah.
make way
Yeah.
more than her, but
But it's
yeah.
like, but that's what's been told to so many kids throughout, for several years. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now. And that's like I said, even coming out of high school, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I went to college because my family was poor and it was free. And, I got to go. It's just something to do. And I got there and it was the same stuff I kind of take in high school. You start doing that general ed stuff over again and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I was bored with it. It's because it's, again, that book side and in classroom stuff was just boring to me. I just wanted to go work. So I just started working. And then, like I said, I just fell into this, but I wouldn't do anything else. Like there's nothing else I could think of. Even I've had people ask me on my lives, again, it goes into, I guess they think you make $1 million on a YouTube channel with 20 something thousand subscribers, but they're like, oh, would you quit working to do YouTube full time? It's like, one is I definitely could not afford to do that. And two is it's like, I know I love doing what I do. That's
I
the whole,
have yeah, I had written that down as far as like the YouTube thing because I it's interesting, right? Being on YouTube and seeing like a check come through. It's obviously not much until you're like a certain number. Like you have to
yeah.
be up there. I think Kurt right now is making good money, but he's posting
He's been
every
doing it
day.
for a long time too. Like I mean, that's what I said in that YouTube scammer video that I had. It's like, would you work somewhere for 4 or 5 years,
Oh
making
yeah,
basically almost nothing and putting in a ton of time? It's like most people aren't going to do that. So once somebody is big and making money, I don't feel like, oh, this person makes too much money off YouTube or whatever. It's like you deserve that. I mean, you've been putting
it
in
takes a long time.
how,
Yeah.
yeah, to get up to that point to do all that stuff.
Because
Yeah,
even
it's
for myself, because I like you said, Jake had brought up the video on that. I looked at it and then I went to go look at mine. I'm like, Jake, I don't make much more. Like it's not much.
yeah,
And you do a lot of it, like the whole YouTube thing. You do it as a hobby. You do it for fun.
yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
tell people. You don't do it for the money because you're not going to get it,
No,
and you have to be in that small percentage that either takes off viral, whatever it is, and you can keep that consistency. Like you have to have a viral video every time, um, or like you can do it and put all your effort into it. Because like I wouldn't leave the trade either. Like I can't
yeah.
see myself doing YouTube full time. It
And
would
then
be
you're also working for somebody. Then at that point, you're really working for YouTube, even though it's your channel. And it's like YouTube could just decide one day,
that they're gone.
no, yeah, they're gone, or even that just decide we're not going to push you that much anymore. Because again, you're kind of at the mercy of
Yeah.
sometimes whatever it is if they put it out there, whether they do or whether they
Well,
don't.
that's what I
So
mean.
you
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 need
it's a zero control. You have
yeah.
no control of how that channel is going to go.
You need
Uh,
the views, you need all that from YouTube, but I would never like if I wasn't because I was gonna ask you about that. Like if you could do anything else, like what would you do? But you don't see yourself doing anything else.
mhm.
I would still be in the trade somehow because I used to fix
Yeah,
like laptops and phones and stuff like that. Like I would probably be fixing something else, but it just wouldn't be HVAC equipment. Like I would do something
yeah,
else. I've always been that kind of person that likes to take things apart, figure out how they work, and then I feel
yeah.
accomplished when I can put it back together and fix it.
Yeah, if I had to pick a trade that I would have went into, it would have been an electrician, just because I love service electrical work where stuff's not working in a house or and you got to start taking stuff. Same thing what you just said, taking stuff apart and figuring out why something's not working the right way. And only reason why I say electrical is just because that's what I've done the most of. So that's what
Yeah.
I know more about that than I do something else. So if I had to say if would I go back and do something differently, I might would have went back and went to school and went and been an electrician and done those kinds of things. But still, at the same time, it would only be service work, electrical work. Like I wouldn't want to run wire every day, all day in new houses or anything like that. I don't mind doing that. I like doing that. It's neat to figure out how am I going to get from point A to point B. But I know my brain enough that I like doing different stuff. Like I like running into different stuff. That's why the job that I'm doing now works so well for me, because I might drywall one day, then I'm going and cleaning a plumbing drain the next day, hanging a ceiling fan one day, installing a kitchen faucet one day, just all kinds of just random stuff. And it's always different. And it makes me to where I get to use my different tools. I've
Yeah, I
got
was
all
gonna
these
say
tools
your
that I
nice
love.
tools.
Yeah, that I buy them because I like using them. I buy them because I like to do stuff with them. So I like doing different stuff just because it's an enjoyment thing to me of, today I get to get out my drain machine and go use it. Whereas if I was a plumber who did service of drains all day long, I'd be like, oh, this stupid drain machine. I'm tired of lugging this thing around and, all that kind of stuff. And again, not saying it's bad to be that person who does that all the time. If you enjoy it and you like it, that's what it is. What it is. I just know my brain enough that it's. I like to do
Yeah.
different stuff.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I know we've been here a couple hours now.
Yeah,
um, but I think this was a very good episode. I think we got a lot of points out, and the whole thing that I'm trying to push now is just trade awareness. And thank you for coming on and sharing your maintenance journey and your story there. I appreciate like I said, the time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy.
yeah. Hopefully, I didn't go down too many rabbit holes.
It's
I'm a
great.
horrible person. I'm very hard to keep straight in line unless I'm talking about like I'm a whole lot better with customers than I am talking like this because I'm only talking about one thing. But
Yeah.
as we're sitting here talking, I go off on I have something in my brain. I'm like, oh, I should bring that up too, and then sometimes I go off on
Well,
different tangents. But
that
hopefully,
makes
it was
it
all right.
that makes it great because I get a lot of feedback on the people that watch or listen to this, and it's like it helps them in one way or another. Like I don't know, it just it's helpful to hear other people's stories. So like
Yeah, yeah.
yours was unique in the maintenance.
If you do good work and learn
Yeah,
how to do good work and keep doing good work and keep customers happy and those kinds of things like that, the word of mouth will spread and you will never like I said, I turn down more work than I do for sure. It's without a doubt because I just don't have. I'm only a one person show. I don't have
oh
other
yeah,
employees that send the stuff. So it's but I could work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and be raking it in and doing all that kind of stuff. But that's not the life that I want to live right now. But that does show me how much we have a need for people to get into the trades because there's very few places where I even have a phone number to give somebody. Like I can't tell you how hard it is, even the amount of people I know that do stuff like what I do. Like I know electricians and plumbers and stuff like that just because I've had them do, but I've never hired anybody like me because I just do it myself. But everybody that I go to their house, every customer, I mean, without a doubt, every time I show up to the door, they say, you're the first person who I've ever been able to even get to come out
I've
here.
heard you say that. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's like I can't get a hold of anybody else. I don't know anybody else. And that shows that's what actually has me worried about like
yeah,
where we're going because I'm just like, well, what happens when something happens to, me or something happens to somebody else that's out here doing it? But at the same time, it makes you think, well, I'm never going to be without work because apparently nobody can find anybody to do any of
that's
this. And
that's that's job security because we have the same issue, which is why we're expanding this year. As far as like certain cities, they can't find a good technician, HVAC technician, or I think more so on the hot side. We have more of a need for hot side cooking techs, cooking equipment techs than anything. So like we are starting to expand to other cities because they've been like begging us to go out there basically. So, there's a need
yeah,
everywhere.
get in the trades, get in the trades.
That's the message of the show. So I appreciate you for coming on, man. Thanks again, everybody watching and listening. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.